All right, well, let's get started here. We only have a few topics here to discuss today. I don't think that this will probably take us a very long time, but the sanitary sewer on County Road 28. Greg had sent me an electronic version. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not.
I haven't seen it.
Geez, I can send it to you. It's what he talked about in our last meeting, that adding in, I think he added in like what, 40, around 40 other parcels or lots into that section that has already been detailed in the sewer master plan. He had a graphic showing which lots they were. And the second page was cost. And the cost had come down from $2,400 a year to like $1,900. And he sent it to me electronically a couple of weeks ago. So I sent that on to Doug so that it can be included in on the agenda for our April 19th meeting. And get a reading from the rest of the town board to see if they want to amend the sewer master plan so that we could include those properties and then start the process, find out who's interested and who isn't. So I'll send that on to you guys.
Well, that sounds good. That's a pretty good drop in the price. That
It is. Yeah,
So how many lots total would it be then?
I think it came up around 90.
something
90?
85 to 100 chunks, somewhere like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good quantity. Yeah, it helps reduce the price.
Well, we just keep looking at these projects. And the problem is making it somewhat affordable for us to provide sewer expansion where it's needed. And without enough units, it's hard to make it
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah.
You know, even when we did like Cheshire, we even did a special survey for hardship, and even then they didn't want to spend that kind of money. So
It's these are the top three: Cheshire, Grandview Park, County Road 28. They're the top three areas for consideration. Gary was on that committee that drafted that sewer master plan. But, I mean, so far, 2 out of 3, we haven't been able to make it affordable for people, even with, in Cheshire, that was even with the possibility of $1 million grant. That, I mean, it was still unaffordable for the people out there. So hopefully, I don't think that the town board is going to have any problem expanding this district from the master plan that was created. But until they say, yeah, go ahead, I think you need to wait and see. The meeting is, what is it, week from this month. Yeah, Monday. So I'll let you guys know how it turns out. So I don't know if you got any other.
not in a sewer, no, that's not a sewer.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Once the town board approves expanding it, then we'll have to send out information letter to get people's feedback on whether yes or no, if they support it. And if they do, we'll do an information meeting to explain how it's gonna work.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move along to the water project update.
No, so we're gonna be probably a month behind, which was kind of expected due to delays with COVID, get materials in, getting the crews to do the assembly. But right now, the second tank, concrete's been poured. And Monday, they'll start erecting the roof and the tank. So probably second week of May, hopefully they'll be ready to be filled. So the second, so by the end of May, hopefully that tank is up and ready to run. Okay. A lot of finished work is going on with pipes as far as called Tanemic paint, it's insulating paint that goes on the pipes to keep them from sweating. It's a multi-day process. It doesn't just get sprayed on and you're done. There's 3 parts to it. And each part takes so many days to cure. So we're doing that. Site work as far as finished grade will probably start here the next couple weeks. And really, we're kind of coming down towards the end of the project on, once the tank is up, the big stuff is done. Okay,
The Kramer Road water mains all in, that
and
extension?
it's been done,
Okay. And I guess you got the restoration on that to do. And that,
yes,
you're gonna do that, I guess, with your crew, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
How many connections can be realized out of that extension, that water main? How many?
Thanks.
6, okay.
That's really meant for redundancy, Chuck, bringing our feed over from Middle Cheshire Road to that tank.
Yeah,
Or
there's 2 modular homes that were built, or homes that were built there on recently. Yep, okay.
I don't ever see Pete DeHaan turn his land into housing. I think we also put lateral restrictions on that. Because it's ag land.
Doesn't that one house up on Kramer have a extremely long water service out to Middle Cheshire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
So they're gonna keep that? They're not gonna
keep
use?
that,
Okay,
correct.
that's a long run before the meter.
Yep,
Remember when the guy put that in, he bought that strip.
yep,
with, land.
which is in the water district. So, I know what.
How about the pump station itself? Is that pretty much done except for dress up?
We gotta finish the chlorine analyzer, and the reason why that's been taking a while, so the tank that makes the solution for the trichlor, the guys from California. Then you have Hot, who's the chlorine analyzer. Then you have Watson Marlowe, who is the pump, and you gotta try and get these 3 guys together for startup. Well, the guys are coming from California to here, so they're trying to coordinate their schedule to do the startup so we can get it running. I'd imagine it'd be end of April, early May for the pump station. L. And then once the startup's done, we're free to use it as needed, but we don't want to use it without the startup being done because it avoids the warranty.
Yeah.
But
Understood.
that's not critical right now. We won't be using chlorine till like June, July, when the temperatures come up.
There's no chlorine added during the winter months at all.
Not usually,
And the city doesn't either.
no. So just because the temperature's colder and the sun doesn't bake, I say bake, but warm the tank, which reduces the chlorine as it sits there, so.
Are we out from under the order that was the stop order as far as development? Are we out from under that due to what's been done, even though you're not online yet?
We have a verbal yes, and Chuck, I'll probably have a written yes once this tank is done.
So that's the key. Okay.
Yeah. So they're not gonna hold up development in our water district. So think of that as only like from County Road 30 south and west. Because remember, we have the other Kennedy Pharmacy Water District
All right.
north of us,
Up
so.
north. Yeah. Okay.
That,
Good.
That Morale Logan development is one that comes to mind. That would be an extension or
Right.
added to that water district. So,
Correct.
but that's proceeding through. We've got, the town board has to make a decision on that 15%
Right.
addition, but there won't be, this would not hold that
No.
up.
Because they also, what's the gentleman there on Bristol Road that's spending a couple times,
Oh, yeah, Metros.
Metro. So now that we have the pumps on, the one tank of the Department of Health was okay with letting him extend the water main for his property.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
you know, like I said, they verbally said it's okay, and then we'll get a letter once the tank is up.
Yeah, and you should have that letter before Morel's ready to move.
Yeah, is there any movement on that, Chuck?
Well, like Terry said, they've got to get approval
Oh,
for
that's
the
right.
increased 15%. And if they get that, then I assume the next stage would be, I think they're done sketch plans. They've shown enough of them. I think everybody's on board with the last concept. So then they would file for subdivision, conservation subdivision.
Okay. All right.
Well, right now, the water is being supplied in the consolidated district, going through our pump station, into
To the
the
tank.
tank, out to customers.
Right.
The tank level is,
35 feet right now.
and in order to be able to use full height, we have to,
Put in 2 pressure reducing valves, which should be in, say by the end of May.
I noticed there, guys were digging, a Middle Cheshire Road down.
Yes.
And I can't remember who owns the house right there.
We either, we were, we had to measure the OD of the ACP pipe because it's rough barrel pipe. So it's not a standard OD. It's oversized and it varies a little bit between 14.4 and 14.55. That's a special order sleeve to tap the main because you have to get it made, because it's oversized. So you only get, you don't give a, you don't have like a, you have to give the exact range, because if it's not, it'll either be too small or too big for a tapping sleeve.
And that's where one of the PRVs
Yes.
will go.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a PRV, it's gonna be in the ground.
That one's gonna be in the ground, and the one on 21 geared to Paul Horizons will be above ground, it'll be a hot box.
And we're just gonna go ahead and do those
Yes,
under the big water project? or-
yes. That's correct.
And that's been no objection to using it money?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
And before you get off water, Jim, you said you're cool with that guy, the 2-lot subdivision on Middle Cheshire. You worked out an agreement for that easement,
Yes, we do, Chuck. I'm just waiting for
Scott Harder.
Scott Harder. He and I have been talking about this week. Add a little language to it about screenings for landscaping around the backside, paint the pipes green instead of blue, just minor things like that. So, but we should be good for going forward.
Okay.
Unless something changes between, I don't know when you guys are meeting for your planning. board review,
Next Tuesday. Yeah.
next Tuesday.
Just want to make sure we got it covered. Okay.
I'll check with Scott Monday, but he didn't see any problem. I talked to him Tuesday at this.
Very good.
The people on Kramer Road, when would they be able to actually hook up to? Would you think that would-
We've got the bacteria results back, so MRB will write a letter of completed works, submit it to the Department of Health. Let them review it, then we'll ask for a verbal release to turn on the water while they do their paperwork. So 2 weeks,
Would they be able to start?
yes.
Okay.
And we'll be able to start using it also to fill the tank, or help us fill or deploy the water in the system.
We saw at least 4 stakeouts come in for the private water.
Correct.
Yeah, so we saw the stakeouts come in for running the water line from the house to the curb. Or, I think 4.
For
Those projects ought to complete on time. and
yeah,
roughly on time.
I mean, we're gonna do restoration.
Yeah.
Starting probably next week. Get seeded and
Yeah.
we're done.
The overall project.
The overall water main project, because the overall project would probably be July, if I were done. With their, like, punch list, finish grade, stuff like that, July.
I think it was substantial completion in May and final.
Right.
July, so that,
But I think we're gonna have something from MRB, it's gonna go to the town board, let's extend it 30 days.
oh, okay.
Okay, I haven't got it yet. But I don't, there's no reason not to extend it 30 days just due to stuff not showing up, that's all. I was just talking to Aqua Store today about where they're going next from here. He goes, well, we're not sure because we can't get steel. They can't get steel to make their tanks. Can't get steel to make the pipe. Can't get steel to make the rebar. So they're struggling with steel.
Everything, just about everything's difficult to get.
Yeah.
Crazy,
Mhm.
okay. Moving on. The transfer station. Our favorite topic.
There you go.
Let's talk trash.
Caitlin had gotten this document from the sustainability people in the county. And kind of a, I don't know, executive summary, I guess. Maybe you could speak to it, Caitlin.
Yeah, so Jim and I attended a county PEQ, the Planning and Environmental Quality Committee. And that's comprised of various members from the Board of Supervisors as well as from the Department of Sustainability and Solid Waste Management. And they, I know we've mentioned several times that they did the transfer station consolidation study, and we were kind of waiting on the edge of our seat for the results of that. And Carla had shared a few kind of nuggets of information when she came to speak with this committee. But they had the engineer that had done the study was giving a presentation to this PEQ committee. So Jim and I tuned in to listen in. And it was definitely very interesting. Carla premised it with that it was a list of suggestions, not necessarily things that were set in stone. And that, you know, they'd kind of be diving into different parts of it. But again, it was that hub and spoke sort of model where we would be the hub. One thing that sort of surprised Jim and I was the amount of materials that was suggested that the hub would collect. One of which was household hazardous waste, which is not something we had really talked about, or, you know, I think we both kind of just about fell off our seats. And Jim had some concerns about you know, a facility of that size being able to fit on the current parcel. He's concerned there may not be enough room. So, you know, the part of this study was that instead of the county posting events like household hazardous waste and tire collection and electronics, they would have one facility where these items were accepted more frequently, similar to the Monroe County Eco Park. So that was probably the biggest revelation from the presentation. Everything else was kind of, we were sort of familiar with. It was a little bit more detail about some of the spokes and how that would work.
Did we talk to them before about the meeting we had online? We talked about that at all last time?
The PEQ meeting?
Yeah.
That I'm talking about right now?
Right.
No, we told Terry about
Oh, we
it.
told Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I told Terry. So a few other things about that meeting was some of the supervisors were on that meeting, and some of them were like not real interested in the whole hub and spoke thing. They really didn't think that was gonna be a good fit for their residents. And they also were concerned with who was going to take stuff where and would it actually get there. And then they were talking about splitting up. I'll take Victor and Farmington. So they were thinking of telling Victor to take just solid waste, but everybody would take their brush to Farmington. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to really work out as far as getting that point across to people who live in St. Victor, have to drive over to their St. Farmington to get rid of their brush if they want to. So,
You got any feel how Bristol feels about this, kind of thrown in with us?
I don't know, Al. We haven't spoken to them. I'm not sure. Well, I think what will really tell is when, I think Caitlin's mentioned before that we're all supposed to meet those of us who have transfer stations to have a conversation, which was supposed to be done by now, but we haven't had that meeting yet. So it'll be interesting to see how people actually feel about this once they get the information from them.
Got any feel for how much Bristol would increase our operational load?
No,
It would be hard to tell because the Bristol transfer station is used by town of Bristol, town of East Bloomfield, and maybe the town of West Bloomfield. At least East Bloomfield and Bristol use the facility over on County Road 2. And I think West Bristol or West Bloomfield might as well. So some of these already kind of are mini hubs or mini spokes, you know, like the town of Richmond is for Richmond and Canadice residents. So, you know, it's hard. I think in this model, they split off East Bloomfield and have East Bloomfield go to Victor and then have Bristol come here. So it's kind of splitting two towns and, you know, they're not tracking them separately at the Bristol transfer station. So it'd be hard to quantify exactly what that percentage would be.
This executive summary refers to different charts and other bits of information that aren't included, so it's difficult to really
It
see
is.
what's going in here.
Apparently, this is a 70-page document, the full study, which has not been released yet. It's going to be on the Ontario County Recycles.org website soon. I don't have an exact date, but we did ask when the full document would be available. And she said it would be posted on their website. So this is obviously just an overview. None of us have seen the full 70-page document with all the dirty details.
Another question I have, Caitlin, is that on page 5, Roman numeral 5 here, it says the note proposed central regional hub, the city of Canada.
That's a typo.
Yeah, okay, because they're talking about us being it, but
I saw that. That has to be a typo. I assume that, you know, the engineering firm isn't as familiar with all of our municipalities as we are.
yeah, I had no idea where the city would locate something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. I assume that must be a typo.
So it's really, I mean, we're into April now, and originally this meeting was going to be held in January. She told us in December, so. As is characteristic of government, it moves at glacial speed, you know, very, very slowly, so. There's not a whole lot more that we can plan for, but we see what. And if a lot of the supervisors aren't really in tune with it, you know, it's probably gonna be modified in some way.
I think once we meet with everybody to hear their first opinions of everything, how this could work. You know, we as a town may not want to be the hub. We might say, thanks, but no thanks. We're gonna do what we need to do for our community and take care of ourselves. I don't know. I'm concerned with being the hub of how our town is going to either want to be compensated or who's going to operate, what permit, who's taken care of, and who's going to be responsible for taking the paperwork once things are hauled in and out of here. I mean, Kayla and I have more questions to that, but like, when you talk about being a regional location for the county, like Monroe County has their Eco Park, I mean, yes, we have 7 acres, but we can't use all those 7 acres for this type of activity. Because we won't, one, we're gonna need a building large enough to store all this, two, we're going to have traffic be able to queue to get in and out. Three, you're going to have a stormwater facility out there someplace to put it all, so. I'm not sure if we have enough room out there when you start talking about this. Hub, is what I'm concerned with, so. I'm just, not saying it won't work, but just,
Yeah.
these are my thoughts,
A lot of questions.
yeah.
Good thoughts.
This group is, you made reference to the group of stakeholders meeting. Will they have that full report before that? I mean, it seems like you're asking in order to understand what the requirements are gonna be.
I haven't heard one way or the other, and maybe that's the delay in getting this group together as they're waiting to release that report. But I would hope that the full picture would be made available before you ask people to weigh in.
That'll have to be approved by the board of supervisors in order to be released,
Yeah, it's,
Yes,
I would think. I don't know.
yeah, I haven't
More of a
seen.
question.
Yeah, so it usually goes through one of these committees
Yeah,
first.
Chris Singer is the one that chairs it.
She's the chair of that committee. So they run it through the committee, and quite a few other supervisors sat in on this meeting who aren't on the committee. So
Okay.
I would say a majority of the town supervisors were in attendance.
Yeah.
So they've kind of, gotten a little, I believe this executive summary. So I haven't seen, that was back on March 22nd, I believe. So I would assume it would be going to the board of supervisors soon.
Hopefully. There are supervisors for it.
yeah. No,
Well,
not ours, but yes, there are. Sorry.
I don't have that summary in front of me, but I don't remember seeing what the city of Canandaigua is doing. What happens to them?
I don't know.
good question. Now, I don't. They're
I
not,
didn't see, I don't remember seeing them on that summary.
they're
I
not,
just assumed they continue to come to town of Canandaigua. They're part of that.
Well, they only come partially to us, I guess, but.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure that the city will continue to do curbside pickup.
Yeah.
There'd be rioting in the streets, I think, if they tried to end that. So I think that we probably lump them in with us because we already have a shared services agreement. So it's probably, and maybe that's what led to that
it could be,
typo.
it could be.
They, the engineer may have had a hard time keeping the cannabis straight, but I would assume that, the city residents would still just bring kind of specialty items they aren't able to dispose of curbside.
Well,
They ought to pin that down in their documents, so that's something you might just raise the flag, what's happening to the city, because it's not on that executive summary. It should be somewhere.
Yeah, and once they pick it up, where are they gonna take it? That's the other thing. I mean,
Right.
as long as you're not responsible as the hub to take their trash trucks coming in and dumping as a transfer station.
Yeah, no.
well, the two biggest cities in Ontario County are not mentioned. Al hit on Canandaigua, but Geneva's not mentioned in here either, and that's a sizable,
Right.
operation
Yeah.
also, so,
I think Geneva's bigger than Canandaigua.
yeah.
That new facility that was just built, is that for the city or the town?
I don't know.
Geneva.
I think it's,
Not true.
I'm not sure either. I did see, I get all of the PEQ agendas to my email, and one just came out, and I did see the town of Victor is
Yeah.
coming to the committee with, Gail's frozen. With a proposal for funding for some sort of infrastructure, transfer station, waste disposal. I don't remember the exact details, but they're coming requesting municipal funding through that Department of Sustainability. I thought that was on the next meeting.
Something happened now.
there he is.
You're back.
He's muted. You're muted, Al.
The other thing, Jim, to be careful of is if you become a hub and you're collecting special waste and household hazardous waste, what your obligations are with the DEC. Do we have to get permitted for that?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Being a hub, we're probably gonna need some sort of solid waste permit, I think.
I'm not, it may be part of the 360 permit, like another layer of it, but
Yeah,
Kayla and I would have to figure out what that means. It's because we don't know right now.
there's a lot of tracking and reporting. I don't know about storage or what sort of PPE the employees need to wear when they're handling it. That's definitely, there's a lot of questions just about that one material.
Well, what do we think of trying to move forward on those visits to a couple of these transfer stations that have the charge stations on them?
Okay. Caitlin and I can, well, go ahead, Terry.
No, go ahead.
So we can contact these places and see what their availability is and share it with you guys and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I'd like to try to move forward and do some of those visits. One of the things I was wondering about is, we start charging, but right now our transfer station is fairly popular and busy. What happens when we start charging everybody every time they drop a bag? Are we gonna put ourselves out of business? I mean, I just kind of wonder what that's gonna do to our level of use,
Well, I think that's part of the reason for charging is they want to get the food waste out of the landfill. So they want you to remove your food waste, so you're not paying so much to get rid of your trash
That's the whole driver, really.
And recycle better.
and recycle better. But
But
Yeah.
it's, we don't know what's in the rest of the other 70 pages of this report. There may be some of these topics covered in that, but we don't know at this point. So until we see something like that, all the questions that have been raised here today, some of them may be answered in that, some may not. So, I mean, it's,
Well, and remember Carla said that 80% of residents in Ontario County have curbside pickup, whether it's through their municipality or through a private hauler. Only 20% of residents in the county are using transfer stations.
Well, that's kind of the point of my question, because if we start charging by the bag, are a lot of people just gonna say, well, I might as well do curbside? And then, we're planning this big conversion, and are we gonna have the people coming to use the conversion? I'm just kind of wondering about that.
I hear you.
Well,
Good
people
point.
are still gonna have specialty items, scrap metal, electronics, construction debris, yard waste. They're still gonna have items that aren't being picked up curbside that they're gonna need to dispose of.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, do we spend a few $100,000 and then we don't really utilize it because no one wants to pay for it? Or they pay for it and just keep moving on? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we're talking more like $1 million, probably, but
Yeah,
if we move over to that other place, we're talking pretty big bucks, but this is the time to do it because it sounds like grants will be made available, but, I'm just kind of wondering, what the net effect be if we start charging by the bag. I understand you're trying to charge by the bag, cut down on the amount of waste, but what's that going to do to the overall utilization of the facility,
well, on the other hand, though, is that 80% that Caitlin referenced, a big chunk of those that have curbside pickup, those people also are gonna have to get the food waste out. The haulers that are doing that, so how they handle that versus how we handle whatever it is that we do, I mean, there are more questions than there are answers.
Yeah.
I think. And it would be nice to see that whole document to see what their real thinking is, do they address questions like that? We don't know whether they do or don't. I mean, we can't get too far out ahead of ourselves here because we just don't know what the county is recommending. And beyond that, what the board of supervisors is going to accept as a plan, so. Meanwhile, the ages are flying off the calendar there, you know, so.
Yeah. I was just throwing that out as food
Yeah.
for thought, but I think our next step is to try to move forward on visiting some of these other sites because the pay piece makes a big difference on the design of your facilities and, you know, the cost of setting up.
Well, also, if we're gonna be the hub, I mean, that changes the complexion also. I mean, if we're gonna be pulling materials in from a lot of areas where we're not pulling them right now, even if more people go to that curbside pickup, the net increase in volume could be significant. I mean, you just don't know where we are. It's like kind of trying to walk in quicksand here. But yeah, we could visit these sites, do what they do now, just to add that bit of information, you know.
I agree. I
Put it
think
up
that's a
here.
great next step.
Hey-
And the transfer station, transfer stations countywide are just kind of the first step. More regulations are going to be coming for private haulers, so. You know, there could be increases to residents in the, you know, next 5 years who are using private haulers because they're gonna start cracking down. Right now, there is county laws related to mandates for recycling, but they're unenforceable. So they're gonna be redoing those laws. I think they're probably working on that. So they'll, you know, private haulers are gonna be required to accept recycling and sort it separately. And, you know, other pieces like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see cost increases on that end as well.
But Jim, maybe you could informally just talk to Bristol a little and see, you know, just get an inkling of what they think about all this.
Yep. I actually gotta talk to Bob Green anyways about something for water, so I'll bring it up.
Okay, I'll start looking into getting us organized for some visits. So Monroe County Eco Park is one on my list. I also want to see that new facility that they built in Geneva. We've already been to the Manchester transfer
Right.
station. I don't know that we need to go again. I feel like we could sum it up unless somebody feels really strongly. But it's just, and it's such a small scale, it's really not applicable to
Yeah.
our facility.
I think those two you mentioned would be a good start. and We could go from there.
Okay,
Especially the Echo Park.
Right,
I
yeah,
mean, that's kind of
right.
does everything.
I think that'll be really interesting.
Has the county given any thoughts as the ultimate disposal site going forward? I mean, we're talking about these transfer hubs and all, but ultimately, where's the trash going to go? Are they thinking about continuing using the county landfill, but at a reduced volume, or what are they talking about?
I keep that pretty close to the chest. She's mentioned a couple of different, you know, ideas for the future. Maybe it does stay open for local use only. Maybe you know, I heard her mention, this was quite some time ago, that the county would have to operate like a county transfer station. So basically all the waste gets hauled to this one spot and then hauled in larger, you know, tractor trailers or something from there. So I'm not sure that, you know, I'm sure that they've thought about it and talked about it, but there's nothing too public about that yet.
Yeah, I think they have to tie that down before they can start setting the network up for
Right.
bringing stuff to it, including what they're proposing here. So hopefully I'm sure they're thinking about it. Hopefully they're going in the right direction.
Well, and I think that's something that, you know, maybe we keep in mind through our planning process. I know that Greg Hotelling mentioned it quite a while ago when we started this process about designing it so that we could transition to hauling in tractor trailers if we are going longer distance, you know, kind of having some flexibility in our design where if we need to upscale or upsize, I mean, that we could do that within the existing infrastructure.
Well, depending on what we handle, we may need to do that even if it is just all over to, Seneca over that way, so. There are a lot more questions than answers, certainly.
Right.
Hopefully the county is thinking about it long term. I bet any one of you $1 right now that place stays open up there for local, for county only. And accepting waste from other areas will go by the wayside eventually, but there is a lot of land out there, so. But it's that diversion also that has to occur to make any long-term solution viable, that getting that food waste out and getting it into composting or however it's handled. That's really a key to the volume question, over time, so. Well, any other comments on this one, or?
I think that's good for now.
Did everybody review that list that I typed up last time? We kind of talked about issues and things we wanted to keep in mind as we move through this process. Were there any edits or additions or anything?
I think it was pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, we got it, and looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good start.
If anything, this can kind of be our living list. So if anything comes up that we want to add on here, just let me know and we can kind of have, I think this will be helpful for Jim and I when we meet with the larger group as well to have some notes already ready to go.
Okay.
The hard part will be checking them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to form a list, but hard to solve them. Okay, that looks good, Caitlin.
For
Chuck, you have anything from planning board that we need to?
No, the only thing I was just thinking, I'd gotten from Michelle, she said that she's got hard copies of the Outhouse Park play area. Is that ready to go soon? Is that kicking off? It sounded like it was the design plans for the playground structures and everything, and it was something that was either going to be built or out to bid, or I didn't know what.
Now,
was
is this
done
for
with.
the all-inclusive part or the addition of the current playground we have now?
Yeah, I think they're putting in the second pirate ship on the other side.
Oh, okay. I just got the impression it was for the challenged kids.
It may be. I don't want to say it's not, Chuck. I'm not sure how to answer that right now.
I mean, we really don't have a lot. That whole design and everything coming from outside of town.
Well,
We're not, you're doing.
yes and no. Like, I'm getting the survey from Tom Fromberger to put in our GPS unit, so I can go out and lay out where the stormwater is, the field, so we know how to grade to it. We're supposed to be meeting in 2 weeks, a group meeting again, to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay, so,
Her email said, I have hard copies of the Outhouse Park West plan here
okay,
in the office if you're interested in picking them up as of right now. So
when did that come to you? When did you get it, John? That email?
I got that March 23rd.
Okay,
So I assumed Outhouse Park West is the side of the road where the playground equipment.
right,
The
right.
new.
Yeah, I wasn't, okay. I didn't know they had everything together, so.
Yeah, and they got them from MRB. So I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, it sounded like she said as of now in the email.
Did it show the building construction and utility
no,
layout?
she just said that she had hard copies. I haven't picked them up. I haven't
Oh,
seen
okay.
them. So
All right,
maybe you can walk over and ask her.
okay.
Other than that, Terry, no, nothing from the planning board. The 15% that this committee, I guess, recommended to the town board at our last meeting on Morel.
Yeah,
When's that? Is that this month with the town board as far as?
supposed to should be.
Thumbs up.
And it should be on our agenda for our next
Okay.
town meeting. That's your understanding too, Gary?
Yeah, my understanding is also on for the 19th.
Yeah,
Okay, well then,
we should have it just without night truck. So,
that would then give them a step forward on that, so that's, other than that, no, nothing else to report.
okay. Hopefully nothing from the ordinance committee. Gary's still stuck on, Gary's still stuck on that chicken law. All right, well, next meeting is May something. I don't have the.
Oh, I already got,
The 7th is the first Friday.
yep, May 7th.
All right, May 7th then. Then
Okay,
Okay, Al said he might be in person, I might be in person, so maybe we can get ourselves all back together and hopefully everything will work out with Greg.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Okay, guys.
yeah, give our regards to Greg.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Caitlin, for setting it up.
Welcome.
Have a good weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Be
Bye,
safe.
everyone.